What's up, guys? It's Lance here. I hope you're all having a fantastic day wherever you are and whatever time you're watching this. But let's go ahead and skip the foreplay and get straight into the video for today. So now I have another tier list, and it's going to be on Resident Evil 5. I figured I'd do another one. Why not? This is actually my second attempt because my footage from my first attempt got fucked up. Unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way it is in the YouTube world of making content. But I will try to do the best I can in terms of what I said. Hopefully it comes across as well as I want it to. I mean, I won't know until I look back at the footage. But before we get started, let's go ahead and go over the tiers real quick, just to get those out of the way. So the first one is the Salty Spittoon. The second one is Weenie Hut. The third one, Weenie Hut Juniors. The fourth one, Super Weenie Hut Juniors. And the last one, Weenie Hut General. And I will also give a rundown of what each of these tiers are. And by the way, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did in my RE4 tier list. I'm basing these enemies on how dangerous they are. I would also like to say that there is no RPG usage going on here. Every enemy or boss is being fought with nothing but guns. And I will talk more about that when I actually get to the actual enemies here. So, the Salty Spittoon. These enemies or bosses are the ones that you want to avoid. I mean, that you just don't want to fuck with. They are difficult. They are a pain in the ass. Weenie Hut, still, you got to be careful. Keep your distance. Definitely don't want to fuck around with that tier either. Weenie Hut Juniors. It's kind of like in the middle. It's like, okay, well, these enemies are tough, but, you know, they're doable. Super Weenie Hut Juniors, these enemies are, you know, it is what it is. They're the enemy type. It's doable. And then for the last tier is Weenie Hut General, which will only have one enemy in it. It's the shit, like, whatever tier. So hopefully I explained that pretty well. I think I did a little bit better in my last recording, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get started. So we got the Talmagini. And the Talmagini go into the Super Weenie Hut Juniors tier. They are the first enemies that you encounter. And also, I will not be comparing RE4 to RE5. I did a little bit of that in my last recording. I'll try not to, because the enemies in this game are a little bit weird. Like, I know some of them resemble like some of the enemies from its predecessor, but I'm gonna try my best to not do that this time. So, yeah, Talmagini. The reason I put them in this tier is because they are quite aggressive. They can be. They do have quite a bit of attacks. I mean, they can throw axes at you. They have crossbows. They can throw Molotovs. You know, they can run and swing at you. Things like that, of that nature. So yeah, that's the reason they're in this tier and not in this tier, because they are definitely a threat. And by the way, I played through RE5 yesterday in preparation of making this tier list. So that's what I'm basing it off of. And like I said, I'll talk more about what I did yesterday. And I would also like to preface that I am looking at through the lens of someone who is experienced at the game, such as myself, who has put hours into the game. And through the other side, it would basically be the people who are maybe newer to the game or just don't have as many hours as I do, or other players that are a little bit more experienced. So I have to try to balance it out. Some things I will be disagreeing with, but I also want to appease myself, and I do want to appease the people watching or people who've played the game maybe a handful of times. So there's that. So yeah, Talmagini, we got that one out of the way. Now we're on to the variant A of the parasite, the Cephalo, which goes into the Super Weenie Hut Juniors tier as well. That's because, I mean, I would say out of all of the parasites, this one's the more tankier one, but it's not that huge of a deal. You can use a shotgun, you can use a sniper, you can use a flash on it. As far as like how dangerous it is, I mean, I know it has like a slam attack, it does, and then like if you're too close to it, like it can hit you. But if you keep your distance for the most part, same could be said with the Talmagini. It's not too bad. Honestly, it's not too bad. So there's that. Now we move on to the variant B. I'm not going to pronounce this. I would say for some of these enemies, I'm not going to pronounce their names because I don't want to sound like an idiot. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this one where it belongs, which is going to be also in the Super Weenie Hut Juniors category. This parasite is an airborne parasite. It's also pretty smart. It can dodge your shots if you aim onto it for a little too long. But for the most part, it can be taken down pretty quickly. Like if you have a shotgun or maybe a submachine gun, I mean, a few shots, it goes down. So not too bad. These things aren't a huge deal, I would say, for the most part. I would say they're a little bit more common than these ones. But yeah, and also when I played yesterday, I didn't really get attacked by this one like at all. I don't know how much damage they do. I would also like to say that I played the game on veteran, and the reason for that is because if I played on professional, all these motherfuckers would probably be in the top 2 tiers. So it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for me to play on pro. So I decided to play on veteran. Just want to get that out of the way as well. So yeah, Super Weenie Hut Junior tier for this parasite. Oh, now we got the dogs. The dogs also go into the Super Weenie Hut Juniors tier. They're not that bad, actually. I would say that they're a lot slower. And if you have a shotgun, I mean, you can shotgun them. They do have a few attacks. They can jump at you and bite you. They have when they open like the parasite, right? You know, when they split open, there's a couple attacks that come to mind that they can do. They can jump on top of you and bite you to death. And if your partner, if Sheva or Chris or whoever you play it as isn't close by, it can fuck you up. But if they are close by, they can knife them right off you, which I believe is an insta kill on them. I could be wrong about that. They also have an attack with the tentacles where they can lunge the tentacles at you, which can do damage as well. But I would say the dogs are pretty tame in this one. I didn't have too much trouble yesterday when I played, so I think they deserve to be in this tier. So let's go ahead and move on. So this is going to be the very first salty spittoon tier, the Butcher. He only appears once throughout the entire game, but I had to kill this guy face on with the weaponry that I had. So what makes him into this tier, there are 3 reasons why. The first one is the axe of his. It is a one-hit kill if you get hit by it. What I mean by one-hit kill, it puts you into the dying state. So that's that. I will be referring to the dying, or the one-hit kill is the one-hit kill. I just feel like it's easier that way. The second reason is that you got to fight this guy on a timer. The section where it starts is on a timer until, what's his name, shows up. Fucking Kurt shows up or whatever, and rocket launches the gate or whatever. So that already puts stress on the fight with this dude. And the second reason, or the third reason, I'm sorry, is because you have to fight Talmagini on top of fighting him. So that's the reason why he is going into this tier. On the upside, though, if you kill him, he does drop treasure. So that's pretty cool. I think that's all I have to say about the Butcher. I'll go ahead and give a rundown at the end of the video on each enemy, but for the most part, we are focusing on tiering the enemies in the meantime. So next one we have is the first Ouroboros variant, which goes in the Weenie Hut. So when I fought Ouroboros yesterday, I died, and that was a skill issue. That was not due to the boss being difficult or whatever. It was because I thought on veteran difficulty, if you used the furnace on him once, that he would die. Because I know on normal difficulty, and I think like the easier difficulty, he does die in one shot from the furnace. But on pro and veteran, it takes 2, and I didn't know that. So my second try, I used the furnace once on him, and then I basically, at that point, I finished him off with the weaponry I had. I had the shotgun and the handgun, as well as some fire grenades. The boss really isn't that bad. It doesn't have any insta-kill attacks as far as I am aware of. He does deal quite a bit of damage, though, I will say that. But the fact that, like, you're in the square arena and you can pretty much run around freely for the most part, he's not that bad. So there's that for the Ouroboros variant, first variant. Now we are on to Big Man Magini. He goes into the Weenie Hut Juniors tier. He is definitely a little bit more of a threat than the Town Magini. When I played yesterday, I actually did get attacked by him. It was the only time I did get attacked by him. It was the overslam that he does, which does quite a bit of damage. I know he has another attack where he does left and right hooks. Luckily, I did not get hit by that, but I think he is a step up from the Town Magini, and that's where I think the Big Man Magini belongs. So let's go ahead and move on. Oh, the chainsaw. Chainsaw goes into Weenie Hut. It's honestly, it's not really that big. It's not a shocker. I mean, it's a chainsaw. And even after you kill him the first time, he gets back up again, and he does a super Sally, where he just kind of swings his chainsaw around and tries to kill you. Which is, you know, if you get by that, you're instantly down. You die. There is a total of 3 of these guys that you have to fight throughout the game, which can be taken out one at a time. But because of that chainsaw, that is the reason why he is in the second tier, because of the instant kill. I would also like to point out, like I said, I wouldn't compare RE4 to RE5, but these guys are definitely slower than they are in RE4. Just want to throw that out there, but that still doesn't change the fact that he is a big threat. Keep your distance from him at all times, for sure. So let's go ahead and move on. Oh, okay, we got this boss, which I believe is the second boss, and I put this boss and Weenie Hut Juniors. Now, my reasoning for that is because he's really not all that bad. If you have grenades and you have proximity mines, which are in the arena that you fight him in, and you stagger him and you shoot his stomach, he doesn't take a whole lot of damage. I didn't have an issue with him yesterday. And by the way, when I played RE5 yesterday, I hadn't played RE5 in quite a while. So either way, he's really not all that bad. I know there's like a second section where he shows up, but there is a proximity mine that you can place down to finish him off with when you get to that section. So I would say out of all the bosses that this one is probably the easiest, in my opinion. This is me speaking from my experience, not the inexperienced player's perspective. They might struggle a little bit with this enemy if they don't know like how to go about it, but I feel like it makes it obvious with the proximity mines and things like that. So yeah, that's my opinion on this boss. It's kind of a pushover, really. It's not a huge deal. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We got the motorcycle Magini. And I put them into the Super Weenie Hut Juniors tier because they only show up for one section. And that section is the section where you're on the back of the Jeep and you guys shoot them off the motorcycles, as well as you guys shoot the buses. This part, I guess, for like newer players, or the players that haven't played as much, it might be a little bit of a hassle. But as long as you're paying attention to the overheat meter, as well as your accuracy, make sure your accuracy is on point, they're not that bad. They do throw axes and Molotovs, but you can shoot those out of midair to like counteract them hitting the Jeep, which would, obviously result in damage. So yeah, I think they deserve to be here. If they showed up more throughout the game, then I would be like, okay, well, maybe they need to be a little bit higher. But that's personally where I feel like they belong. Like I said, as long as your accuracy is on point, you're paying attention, you're shooting the bus a little bit here and there, but also focusing on these guys for the most part. It's pretty much, you got it in the bag. It's not that bad. So let's go ahead and move on to the Elegante, I want to say, of RE5, which goes into Weenie Hut. So when I played yesterday, I didn't take any damage whatsoever because I pretty much don't know all of his attacks and what you can do. He's not that bad, but I would assume if you do take damage, it's not pretty. I'm sure he does a lot of damage. The attacks that come to mind is that he can grab a boulder from the ground and throw it at you, and you have to like shoot it before he actually hits the Jeep. He does like an overhead with his foot. He can stomp the Jeep. He can do overhead with both his arms. He can grab like a pole and try to hit you with it, or do an overhead with that. He can also swing at you. That's where you have to do a QTE. And he can do the ram attack, which is kind of similar to Elegante and RE4. Also, you have to deal with Magini on the left and right side. There's like one on the left that throws Molotovs, and you have two on the right that have crossbows. But for the most part, if you do the exact same thing that you do with the motorcycle Magini, you pay attention to the overheat meter, as well as make sure you hit every shot. You're pretty much good, at least until the plagas expose. You shoot those off, and then you deal with the bigger plagas, which I managed to get it in the 3 cycle. You can get it in the 2 cycle, but you really have to make sure that your accuracy is on point. So I place them in the 2nd tier. Let's go ahead and move on to the Wetland Magini, which I placed in Weenie Hut Juniors. I would say that out of all of the Magini, that these ones are the most aggressive, up close and personal type. Also, they have quite a bit of weapons too. They have shields. They have these long wooden spiked spears that they use. They have quite a bit of attacks with those. The ones that come to mind is they can like, if they have a shield, they can like lunge the spike, whatever you want, the spear at you. They can also throw them at you. They can do like a jump attack where you have to do a QTE to make sure you don't get stabbed. These guys can swipe at you, they grab you. They're definitely a step up from the Town Magini, for sure. So that's where I'm placing them at. So next on to the Giant Magini, which gets placed in Weenie Hut. He is a step up from the Wetland Magini. There's 2 sections where these guys appear. The first is when you get to the marshlands and you have to collect the pieces to get into the next area. So the reason why they're in this tier is because not only do you have to fight 2 of these at the same time, but you have to fight Wetland Magini also. And if you get cornered or you put yourself in a position where you don't have a way out, these guys can fuck you up for sure. As for the second section with like the beams that they use, like the level where they use like the sunlight as like a light source that can damage you, that part isn't too bad, because I would say by that part in the game, like you'll have upgraded guns if you do choose to upgrade. And you can stun lock them with the shotgun where you shoot them and it kind of like it pushes them back and you can like go for punches. You can just do that over and over again until they're dead. But they are pretty tanky. Like they take a little bit of damage for sure. Yesterday when I was playing it, I grabbed the Magnum and just I didn't use up all the Magnum ammo that I had on them. I just damaged them a little bit and then finished them off with whatever I had. The shotgun, I believe. Things can go wrong with these guys. They definitely do damage, and you definitely got to be careful. Keep your distance if you can, for the most part. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we got the C variant of the parasite, and I put this one also in Weenie Hut. They don't show up too much throughout the game, but they do have an instant kill. That's the reason that they are in this tier. They also have like a headbutt attack too, which I don't know how much damage that does, but that's not the attack that we're worried about. The attack that we're worried about is the instant kill. So there's that, and I feel like that's where they should be placed. Other than that, like they're not too hard of an enemy. If you have a flash, it's an instant kill. The goal is to like get them exposed, that you shoot like the center piece inside of them, deal damage to the inside shell, I guess you could say. But yeah, overall, they're not too bad, but they're not a joke because yeah, they can instantly kill you. But let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on to the variant D of the parasite, which is the one enemy that is going into the Weenie Hut General tier. These guys aren't really all that bad. When you very first get to the caverns, the game gives you a flash. And if you hold on to that flash, there is a plethora of this enemy that shows up. But if you throw the flash, it kills them instantly. These spider-like parasites are really just kind of a pushover. I mean, they're not that big of a deal. They can't latch onto you, which is like the only attack they do have. And then if your partner is within the vicinity, they can knife the parasite right off, and I'm pretty sure it dies. So they are an annoyance, but for the most part, they're easy to deal with, and they're trash, and I think they belong in this tier. Let's go ahead and move on to Irving. Irving belongs in the Salty Spittoon. And the reason for that is because I didn't know that he has an insta-kill attack. Now, yesterday, I didn't really take too much damage from Irving. As I was doing this list, I was looking up like these enemies to see if they had insta-kill attacks and whatnot. Irving does, and I will go ahead and explain this actually as I have it pulled up here. So it says, yes, Irving in Resident Evil 5 does have an insta-kill attack in this final form. He can create whirlwinds of tentacles that instantly kill anyone in the center. Additionally, if a player is directly behind him, he will perform an insta-kill attack as well. He also has a bite attack that can instantly kill the player if he's able to grab them, and he can cause a tentacle whirlwind attack, which can instantly kill the player if the player doesn't complete the QTE. So yeah, I didn't know that. For the most part, though, Irving isn't that bad. The only hassle I had yesterday is the tentacles that do swivel like onto the boat. And if you get grabbed by that, I would assume that's the attack that it's talking about. I'm not exactly sure. But if you don't, like if you get grabbed or your partner gets grabbed, and if you don't shoot that tentacle, I don't know what happens. I would assume that they die. It's been a while since I've actually fucked up this boss fight, but for the most part, I would say Irving isn't that bad. You do have to deal with the tentacles that submerge out of the water, as well as him submerging out of the water, which is a QTE, which I would say is what the website here is referring to as a one-hit kill. But Irving really isn't that bad, but because he has insta-kill attacks, he definitely belongs in the Salty Spittoon. So let's go ahead and move on to, we got the base Magini. I put the base Magini in Weenie Hut. Reason for that is because these fuckers have guns, they have stun pros, they have shields, they have RPGs also, so they are technically a step up from the Wetland Maginis, even though I prefer the basement genie because with these guys, you can hide and cover and all that stuff and get headshots with the sniper, which is what I did yesterday. They don't really become a real issue until like the final room. I'll talk more about the final room as I'm going through the enemies. That's where they become a bitch. So I do think they belong in the second tier here. Let's go ahead and move on to, oh, yep. I know exactly where you're going. Salty Spittoon. These are the liquor betas. They appear in 3 areas of the game, which I opted to kill all of them. The first area is the area where you have to hit the elevator, like you have to like walk through the hallway and you can see them in the behind the glass. Sheva, unfortunately, her dumbass with her RNG decided to run, so it kind of fucked it up, but I was already planning on killing them anyways. I had the shotgun and the sniper rifle for that, as well as the... Did I use the grenade launcher? I might have used the grenade launcher. I don't remember. So for a casual player, I mean, the first 2 sections where these liquors appear, you can sneak past them. As for the third section, you can't. You have to fight them. I mean, you can't avoid them. I mean, it's going to be a bitch. I'll tell you that for people. And you might even die once there. So liquors have quite a bit of attack range too. They have an instant kill, which is a QTE. And if you fail that, you instantly die. They have an uppercut attack that they do with their claws. They have their tongue, obviously, which can strangle you. And if your partner isn't close by, that does quite a bit of damage. And then they have like a jump attack where they just do a quick claw jump. Liquors are not to be fucked with. You want to stay away from these fuckers as much as possible. And I think they deserve to be thrown into the salty spittoon with fucking Irving and the Butcher, or the Executioner. So let's go ahead and move on. Oh, we got U8. He goes into Winnie Hut. When I fought him yesterday, I didn't have any issues. The way I defeated him is I used 2 hand grenades, and then after those 2 hand grenades, if you use 2 hand grenades, it exposes like his shell to his weak spot, and then I shotgunned him and finished him off. There is a way where you can use 3 hand grenades, and it just basically finishes the boss fight. But that's my perspective. Let's talk about the perspective for someone who is encountering. And also, before I move on, I am excluding the QT insta-kill attack because that isn't part of the fight, the actual in-game encounter. So we skip over that. I would say for new players, they probably won't really know too much about the fact that you can use 3 grenades. Like, you know, he goes down and then you can run up and toss it in or whatever. Let's see, what attacks does U8 have? I know he has a claw attack. I don't know if that's an insta-kill attack. If it were an insta-kill attack, it would be in this tier, obviously, but I don't know if it is because I didn't get hit by it. There's another attack where he like lunges and he attacks you that way. He also can spawn like smaller enemies as well you have to deal with. I mean, U8, the only reason he's in this tier is because I'm looking at it from the other perspective of the inexperienced players. If I were to rank him, I'd probably put him down, I don't know, like lower, obviously, because like I said, he's a pushover. But I gotta appease to the other people as well. I you know, like some of these enemies, like I said earlier, I'm gonna disagree with. It is what it is. But let's go ahead and move on. I think I covered U8. I will, like I said, give a quick rundown after I've tiered all the enemies before I give, you know, like basically my final thoughts before I end the video. So let's go ahead and move on to these fuckers. They go straight into the salty spittoon. These are the Novies of RE5. And I know I said I wouldn't compare, but these fuckers right here are no joke. They have an insta kill, and they also have like a swipe attack that they can do too. So the goal with these guys is they have these like yellow pockets, like these bright pockets that you can shoot, but they can be quick and they can crawl. But if they do crawl, you can't shoot like the shoulder pockets. These guys don't really become an issue, a huge issue, until that final room where you have to fight two of these fuckers at the same time on top of fighting Basement Genie. That is why they are in this tier. One of the reasons that they're in this tier, but for the most part, that fucking insta-kill attack that they have, these fuckers right here can go fuck themselves. The worst enemy in the game, in my opinion. Yeah, that's all I have to say. When I come back to them, I'll give them more of an opinion, but for now, we'll leave it at that. All right, let's move on to the second variation of Ouroboros. I'm not going to pronounce this because I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with an M and it ends with an O. It goes into the salty spittoon as well. Yesterday, I decided the way I went about fighting him the first time, I soft locked because I ran out of ammo, surprisingly. I shot off the arms, I shot the body, I was fully stocked up on ammo. I didn't use any incendiary grenades, which I will get to here in a second, but Sheva was, I mean, she had the AK and it was fully upgraded. She had plenty of ammo as well, putting shots into it. And I was thinking to myself, it's like, dude, you gotta be almost dead. Like, I put so much fucking ammunition in you, and my guns are fully upgraded. I had the riot gun, the SPD Dragunov semi-automatic sniper rifle, and I had the pistol, the starter pistol, which I didn't have upgraded, but I had quite a bit of ammunition for that. And also in the arena, there is ammo as well that they give you. They give you plenty, and healing items as well. This boss doesn't have any insta-kill attacks as far as I am aware of. It can deal damage, though. It can like detach his arm, and you have to like dodge that. It can grab you, kind of like how the first one does, the first variation of the Ouroboros boss. Yeah, I was fighting him. I ran out of ammo. Sheva ran out of ammo, and I even tried using the flamethrower. I was like, okay, I'm soft locked. Excuse me, I was soft locked. So I redid the fight, and I do it with my strategy, which I probably should have just did from the get-go, but I didn't because I wanted to see if I could just fight him with all the ammunition that I had, which wasn't the case, which basically, you want fire grenades and you want a semi-automatic rifle, preferably as upgraded as you can get it. I would suggest the SVD Dragunov over the PSG-1 for this fight. So basically, what you want to do with this boss is you want to throw down fire grenades to expose the weak spots. He has 4 of them, and you want to pull out that sniper immediately and shoot at them and deal damage. And rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat until it's dead. So yeah, that's still, this thing's a bitch for sure. It could deal damage, and yeah, it's just, I feel like, me personally, I would probably put this in a different tier. I wouldn't put it in here, but for new players, in a casual playthrough, if I were to play this casually, I would be using the rocket launcher that you get in the Marshlands, specifically for this boss, because it's just fucking tedious. And yeah, it's just, that's all I have to say about it for now until I get around to it later. So let's go ahead and move on. Spent a little too much time, I feel like, on that boss, but it's okay. Jill Valentine, the master of unlocking Jill Sandwich, goes into Weenie Hut Juniors. Now, people are probably going to disagree with this. Jill Valentine is not that bad. And I'm talking about the actual second part of the encounter, not with Wesker and Jill. Jill Valentine as a boss is not that difficult. Like those submachine guns you can take cover from. The goal is to, approach her and, try to distract her while she kind of like staggers, and then get Sheva to grab her and then take off the device for the most part. She's not really a threat that much, in my opinion. I mean, even like new players, I think will get it. Like, it's not that bad. So that's where I'm placing Jill in the 3rd tier. And like I said, I might even talk about more her later when I give a rundown. All right, so on to Wesker, my favorite boss of the game. It's pretty clear where he's going, which is into the salty spittoon. So the first time you encounter Wesker is with Jill. He's not really all that bad unless you want to wait 7 minutes, which I guarantee people don't do that shit. They just try to fight him. He's superhuman. He can dodge your shots. He can deal a pretty vast amount of damage. But how I defeated him yesterday is I used the Magnum. Basically, what you want to do is you want to get out of his line of sight, or if like you place yourself around the corner, anticipate like because you can see him on the map. You just kind of wait and like right before, like as soon as he gets around the corner, you shoot him with the Magnum. You do that a few times, you approach him, you do the combo. And if you do that 4 to 5 times, he's done in the first encounter of Wesker. He's not that bad. The second section is where it gets a little bit more interesting, however, is where you have to inject him with the serum. That is where he becomes a little bit more aggressive, and he does have an insta-kill attack where he initiates a QTE, and if you fuck up one of those QTEs, yeah, you're instantly dead. So that's it for Wesker for right now. Favorite boss, he's a big meme. I can't get enough of him. Honestly, probably the only redeeming quality of this game, as well as Jill, I guess. Maybe that's just me being a little bit nostalgic, but let's go ahead and move on. We got the Gatling gun Majini. The Gatling gun Majini goes into the salty spittoon tier. The first encounter with him isn't too bad. I mean, the way I defeated him yesterday is I approached him before he even had the opportunity to shoot and just shotgun him to death. And you can also stun lock him with the shotgun if you shoot him in the face. Kind of like with the giant Majini here, where he like staggers back and you can go ahead and fucking punch him over and over again. You have to be careful though, because he can't hit you. Like he'll do like a lunge attack type of thing. Kind of like JJ from RE4. That's basically what he is. He's just a JJ from RE4 but in RE5. But he doesn't become, or I should say, they don't become an issue until the final room of the game before Wesker, where you have to fight 2 of these motherfuckers at the same time, on top of fighting the base Majini here. That fight is a pain in the ass if you do not know what you're doing. That is the reason why I should say, because there's a total of 3 of them throughout the game, as far as I know. I mean, yeah, there's 3 of them because I played yesterday. They belong in this tier for that exact reason. And I don't know how much damage those fucking miniguns do, or Gatling gun, I should say. Tomato, it's the same shit. Luckily, like, because I know how to fight them and the way I went about it, like, I didn't take any damage from the Gatling gun, luckily. So that's all I have to say about him, and that's where I'm placing him at. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so now we got the most aggressive, I would say, Ouroboros variation, which is Excella that gets injected by Wesker with the Ouroboros virus and turns into this big fucking monstrosity. This is, yeah, like I said, this is the most aggressive variation of the other 2 Ouroboros bosses. It's got 4 of these large tentacles that you have to shoot. And by the way, I didn't use the satellite fucking home reader or home missile, whatever the fuck it's called. I fought it legitimately with the weapons that I had. And also, every time you destroy one of the tentacles, it fires off projectiles. If you don't take care of those things, they can deal damage to you. So yeah, this enemy, and I want to say it also has an insta-kill attack. There's a moment in the fight where all 4 of the tentacles are like in the air. And if you don't like stagger them in time, I'm pretty sure they instantly fucking kill you. So there's that. That's all I have to really say about this version of Ouroboros, which I'm not going to pronounce. It starts with an A, because I don't want to sound like a complete idiot and just, pronounce it wrong. All right, so now we're on to the last. Pretty obvious where Wesker's going. Again, Ouroboros version of Wesker. So yeah, this is not a shocker. The first part of this, he is an insta-kill as he swings around his arm, at least until you save Sheva. That's where the boulder punching Chris meme comes into play. After that, you make your way up to the center of the fight, in the volcano area. As far as attacks go, I don't know if he had. Yeah, actually, he does have instant kill attacks. So the first one that comes to mind is that one where he reaches into the ground and then it comes up these tentacles that do like a whirlwind. And you can get caught in that, and that instantly fucking kills you. I want to say that's the only instant kill attack he has. As for his other attacks, I know he can swing that arm around. There's an attack where he can like spin the blades on his arm as well. He can grab you. There's an attack where he can like put his arms. I don't know if he like puts his arms or whatever into the ground, and like these like the tentacles come up and like make their way towards you. There's that comes to mind. And there's another one, I think. I don't know. Also, but with Wesker, there's an easy way to kill him. If you stagger him and you approach him from behind, you can jump on top of him and repeatedly stab him like in his like weak spot. And Shovel will join in and stab him as well. But obviously, because we're not doing that, same with like this boss right here. I didn't use the satellite homing device or whatever the fuck it's called. To defeat Wesker, I just used the Magnum and shot him and the sniper and shot him in this weak spot and killed him. But yeah, so let's go ahead and go over the enemies one more time. This is a quick little rundown, and we'll figure it out from there. So yeah, we got the Executioner. Like I said, he can be slow, and you don't have to fight him. He is optional, but if you do decide to fight him, just know that you're going into it you're on a timer. You got to deal with other enemies, and he swings that thing like it's a fucking baseball bat. That's the best way I can describe it. No joke at all. Insta kill. Irving, like I said, you got to deal with the tentacles that can, those can attack you. He can submerge from the water, which he can bite you. He has the tentacles that he swivels onto the ship that can grab you. Insta kill attacks as well. Liquor betas, like I said, I kind of went over the attacks that they have. Insta kill attack that comes to mind. These fuckers, I'm not even gonna talk about them. Fuck them. Skipping over them. Second variation of Ouroboros. I recommend for anyone playing, if you've collected the rocket launcher, the user rocket launcher, just to completely skip this boss fight. It's tedious. He is tanky as a motherfucker, as I learned yesterday. Yeah, so that's what I have to say about him. Wesker, like I said, Wesker is Wesker. He is a fucking meme. That's what I have to say about Wesker. Gatling gun Magini. The first one isn't too bad. Like I said, you can duck into cover. If I were to give any recommendations, shoot him in the face with the semi-auto over and over again. If you have the ammunition, at least for the first one. For the second part, that's where I would recommend a rocket launcher. That's actually what I do with these fuckers. In the last room with two of them is I just use a rocket launcher on them as well. If I were to play casually, which is not what I did yesterday. Like I said, I fought these guys head on, which actually went, the RNG I got was actually like pretty well, but I'm getting off topic. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Magini with the Gatling gun. So yeah, I use the Magnum on these two. I placed myself in the area where it would definitely, I'd make sure I didn't get flanked at all. So yeah, there's the Gatling gun Magini. For this, I mean, the normal player is going to use the homing satellite on the actual like core weak spot of this enemy after you destroy the tentacles. That's not what I did yesterday. I used the handgun, the shotgun, and the semi-auto for this boss fight. Wesker, he does not fuck around, especially in that first part. You do not want to get hit. I used the Magnum yesterday on him. Also, there is the easy way to kill him with the knife, but like I said, no rocket launchers, no easy way of killing any of these enemies whatsoever. It's whatever weaponry and ammunition that you have. We got the first variation. You won't have very much ammo here, or I should say firepower, but he is doable. You can kill him. Casual players will probably end up burning him in the furnace, which if you do, it's not a big deal. You lose out on the treasure. Same with this. These are two optional boss fights, so that's not that big of a deal. Chainsaw Magini, like I said, insta-kill chainsaw, and the fact that he can get up again, and you swing that motherfucker around like it's nothing. You can get hit by that. Elegante of RE5, even though that's not his name. That's what I'm calling him. As long as you're accurate, you're hitting him, and you don't let your gun overheat, good as cake. I got a 3-cycle on him yesterday. You can get him in the 2-cycle. Unfortunately, I'm just not as good as I used to be, so I 3-cycled him. Also, make sure when you do have the time, take care of the Magini on the left and right side, as they will be chipping away at your health. That's what I advise for that. Giant Magini, Wetland Magini. That fucking weapon that he's holding is not a joke, and he can also kick you as well. Definitely do not put yourself in a spot where it's tight, like a tight space, because you will get fucked for sure while you're fighting Wetland Magini at the same time. We got the instant kill parasite, because this is Resident Evil, and of course there has to be an insta-kill parasite. It's really not that bad. Like I said, if you have a flash, or if you shoot at it, expose it, you shoot it, you kill it, keep your distance, make sure not to take damage from its headbutt. They can do as well. Base Magini, the AKs get really ridiculous. Make sure you stay in cover. They also throw flashes and grenades as well. I forgot to mention that. Just keep your distance from them. It's crazy how I think that these guys are just more intimidating. I don't know. But yeah, these guys don't really become a really big issue until you get to the boat section, and then you get to the part right before Wesker. That's where they become a real bitch. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. U8. Like I said yesterday, I got through them easy peasy. For new people, what I suggest is that you use the 3 grenades. Basically, what you want to do, and I didn't mention earlier, is you want to shoot his arms like as he's like rotating, but at the same time, you want to make sure you play yourself so you don't get attacked. Like the centerpiece of the platform is usually what I like to do. Is I like to keep myself covered as I'm shooting the arms as he's like spinning around above. So that's what I recommend for that. We got the big man Magini. Like I said, he's not too bad. He's not really tanky either. I mean, he is tough, like in terms of like the attacks that he can do, but I guess like overall health wise, like hit points, he's not too bad. Probably the easiest boss here. Grenades and proximity mines stagger him, and then you just shoot like his stomach. I would recommend using the shotgun or the semi-auto that you get within the level for that. Not a bad enemy. As far as attacks go, which I didn't talk about, I think that he does like a QTE attack from above if he's airborne. He can do a swipe attack. He might be able to hit you with his tail also, and like he can spew like kind of like this like gooey substance where you have to like shake it off. I mean, either than that, like he's not that bad. Like easiest boss of the game for sure. Wetland Magini, like so when I played yesterday and when I got to like a couple of the islands where you had to get the pieces, I did avoid them just due to the fact of my weaponry at the time. I didn't have very good weapons to go up against these guys because the guns at that point I don't upgrade until I get better guns later. Keep your distance from these guys though. Definitely be careful. I recommend, like, I don't know if you can see in the background, like this part, grabbing the fucking like insignia piece and getting the fuck out of there because it's too tight of an area and they got shields. So what my recommendation for like new players or people who are inexperienced, just avoid this fucking area if you can. There's not even really, I don't even think there's treasure in it. Even if there is treasure in that area, the whole marshlands has a shitload of treasure anyway, so if you miss out on something, it's not that big of a deal. All right, Jill Sandwich, like I said, she's really not that bad. Even with Wesker and Jill fighting at the same time, if Sheva's RNG is pretty good, she'll be taking care of Jill while you take care of Wesker. And as for the actual fight, you can't shoot Jill, obviously, because you don't want to kill her. You can kill her. The goal is to distract her and throw her to the ground or try to apprehend her. Have your partner rip out the chest piece. Town Magini, they're the starter enemies, the low end tier enemies, but they are aggressive. Definitely on veteran, I noticed. which is mostly the way that I play the game. I tend to play the game. I go through a veteran without like a bulletproof vest and like the melee vest, just to make it a little bit more of an experience. They do a shitload of damage though. You don't want to take damage from these guys. We got the variation A of the parasite. Like I said, keep your distance, shotgun it. It's a little bit more tankier than I would say. I would say these two are probably the most tankiest out of the parasites. These two are just pushover, especially that one. Keep your distance. Keep your distance from this one. Actually, you want to kill this thing even before it makes its way to you, because it can grab you. And if your partner isn't within the vicinity, you're taking damage for sure there. But they do go down within a couple shots, so that's good. That's kind of like the trade-off. The dogs, they are an annoyance, but they're a lot more tame. They're slower. As long as you have a shotgun, you shotgun them, you should be good for the most part. Be careful. That shit, of course, that shit is no joke, especially if your partner's not around. You will get fucked by that. Motorcycle Magini, there's only one section, like I said, that they appear in. As long as your accuracy is on point, they only take a few shots and they go down, they explode off their bikes. So there's that. And for the last enemy is this shit enemy, spider looking thing, the D variant of the parasite. There's not really much to say about it. They don't take very much damage either, actually. Yeah, I already said that. So shotgun them, shoot them till they're dead, flash them, whatever. That's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this version of the tier list. Leave your thoughts, your feelings in the comments if you agree or disagree with this tier list. I also want to point out, if you guys are enjoying the tier list, I would be more than willing to do a weapon tier list of either this game or RE4. So if you guys do want to see that, definitely leave it in the comments. I give my opinions on that, and also try to come up with a new idea. Like I said in my last tier list, I don't want to go with S, A, B, C, D because it's boring. I decided to go with something like this. I don't know if I stated it earlier. The reason why I called them this, which is a SpongeBob reference for people who are not watching, which I'm pretty sure know. It just came to mind one night because I wanted to make a tier list for this game, and I just automatically thought of this, and I just thought it was kind of funny. So there's that. But enough talking. I think I got the tier list out of the way. I'm somewhat satisfied. There are things on this tier list that I disagree with, but like I said, I do want to appease to my audience as well, the people who are watching. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a comment, like, and share. If you want me to do more tier lists, drop them down in the comments. That's all you have to do, guys. I appreciate that. And Lance is out.